Today is March 1st. Welcome to Big Book Daily. My name is Rob. I am an alcoholic. It's a thrill, honor, and joy to be here with you today as we journey through the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous and the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions. Today, we're going to be reading out of the Pioneers of AA number 3, which is pages 188 through 190. And out of the 12 and 12, we'll begin Step 8, page 77. With all that, my friends, let's get right to it. Now, in Bill Dotson's story, we got his perspective, and he's having a conversation with Dr. Bob and Bill W., and they're giving them this concept that gives Bill Dotson a lot of peace, and that's just take it 24 hours a day. Don't worry about, the idea of not drinking for the rest of your life. Just focus on today. And here is Bill W.'s perspective of his encounter with Bill Dotson. And we're going to read that beginning on page 188. At this point, the editors intrude just long enough to supplement Bill D's account with that of Bill W., the man who sat by the side of the bed. Bill W. says, 19 years ago last summer, Dr. Bob and I saw him, Bill D., for the first time. Bill lay on his hospital bed and looked at us in wonder. 2 days before this, Dr. Bob had said to me, if you and I are going to stay sober, we had better get busy. Straightway, Bob called Akron City Hospital and asked for the nurse on the receiving ward. He explained that he and a man from New York had a cure for alcoholism. Did she have an alcoholic customer on whom it could be tried? Knowing Bob of old, she jokingly replied, well, doctor, I suppose you've already tried this yourself? Yes, she did have a customer, a dandy. He had just arrived in DT's, had blacked the eyes of 2 nurses, and now they had him strapped down tight. Would this one do? After prescribing medicines, Dr. Bob ordered, put him in a private room. We'll be down as soon as he clears up. Bill didn't seem too impressed. Looking sadder than ever, he wearily ventured, well, this is wonderful for you fellows, but it can't be for me. My case is so terrible that I'm scared to go out of this hospital at all. You don't have to sell me on religion either. I was at one time a deacon in the church, and I still believe in God. But I guess he doesn't believe much in me. Then Dr. Bob said, well, Bill, maybe you'll feel better tomorrow. Wouldn't you like to see us again? Yeah, sure I would, replied Bill. Maybe it won't do much good, but I'd like to see you both anyhow. You certainly know what you're talking about. Looking in later, we found Bill with his wife, Henrietta. Eagerly, he pointed to us, saying, these are the fellows I told you about. They're the ones who understand. Bill then related how he had lain awake nearly all night. Down in the pit of his depression, new hope had somehow been born. The thought flashed through his mind, if they can do it, I can do it. Over and over he said this to himself. Finally, out of his hope, there burst conviction. Now he was sure. Then came a great joy. At length, peace stole over him and he slept. Before our visit was over, Bill suddenly turned to his wife and said, go fetch my clothes, dear. We're going to get up and get out of here. Bill D. walked out of that hospital a free man, never to drink again. AA's number 1 group dates from that very day. Bill D. now continues his story. It was in the next 2 or 3 days after I had first met Doc and Bill that I finally came to a decision to turn my will over to God and to go along with his program the best that I could. Their talk and action had instilled in me a certain amount of confidence, although I was not too absolutely certain. I wasn't afraid that the program wouldn't work, but I was still doubtful whether I would be able to hang on to the program. But I did come to the conclusion that I was willing to put everything I had into it with God's power, and that I wanted to do just that. As soon as I had done that, I did feel a great release. I knew that I had a helper whom I could rely on, who wouldn't fail me. If I could just stick to him and listen, I'd make it. I remember when the boys came back, I told them, I've gone to this higher power, and I've told him that I'm willing to put his world first, above everything. I've already done it. And I'm willing to do it again here in the presence of you. Or I'm willing to say it any place, anywhere in the world, from now on and not be ashamed of it. And this certainly gave me a lot of confidence and seemed to take a lot of the burden off of me. All right, absolutely great stuff there. Big old smile on my face. Okay, we'll jump right into the 12 and 12. All right, my friends, we've made it to step 8 out of the 12 and 12, which is made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. Today, we are going to read the first page. Steps 8 and 9 are concerned with personal relations. First, we take a look backward and try to discover where we have been at fault. Next, we make a vigorous attempt to repair the damage that we've done. And third, having thus cleaned away the debris of the past, we consider how, with our newfound knowledge of ourselves, we may develop the best possible relations with every human being we know. This is a very large order. It is a task which we may perform with increasing skill, but never really finish. Learning how to live in the greatest peace, partnership, and brotherhood with all men and women, of whatever description, is a moving and fascinating adventure. Every AA has found that he can make little headway in this new adventure of living until he first backtracks and really makes an accurate and unsparing survey of the human wreckage he has left in his wake. To a degree, he's already done this when taking a moral inventory. But now the time has come when he ought to redouble his efforts to see how many people he has hurt. And in what ways. This reopening of emotional wounds, some old, some perhaps forgotten, and some still painfully festering, will at first look like a purposeless and pointless piece of surgery. But if a willing start is made, then the great advantages of doing this will so quickly reveal themselves that the pain will be lessened as one obstacle after another melts away. All right, my friends. Well, while that is fresh, it says right here, but if a willing start is made, we just gotta be willing. It says right here too that we're never gonna completely get it right. This is gonna be something that it'll be a skill that we increase over time, but never really finish. And then it says right here, the benefits on the top of 78. Then the great advantages of doing this will so quickly reveal themselves that the pain will be lessened as one obstacle after another melts away. There is a great description that Joe and Charlie, they say for step 8. I think it was Charlie's. If you've ever listened to the Joe and Charlie tapes, they are wonderful. I love them. I listen to them all the time. They're very knowledgeable about the big book and also just hilarious the way they describe some things. But they talked about how we may be willing to make amends to some, and then there's some that are on the maybe list, and then there's some that we'll never make amends to. We made it up in our minds we're never going to do that. And how we start with the easy ones first. Okay, I can make an amends to this person. And then over time, the more we make these amends to people, maybe we can start shifting the columns over. So the ones that were in the maybe columns maybe can now be transferred to the willing column. And the ones that are in the never column, we might be able to say, okay, maybe one day I'll make my amends to this person. That was, I think, Charlie's sponsor, what he said to him, which I thought was really powerful and a practical way to really try to carry out step 8. To become willing to make amends to those we'd harmed. And the only other thing the 12 and 12 makes me think of is how resentments, a lot of times we think, oh, well, we're letting the other person off the hook. And in my experience, that's not been the case. These resentments, they're killing me. I'm the one drinking the poison, hoping that they will die. So, and I do know that any time that I've had a resentment towards someone, friends have told me, get on your knees and pray for them. Look at your part in the situation. And most of the time, there is something that I've done. And sometimes even at the bare minimum, it's I let them hurt my feelings. That's a choice that I made. I was feeling insecure. I wasn't happy with myself. I was not at peace. And therefore, somebody else's opinions of me, I let that bother me. When honestly, it was none of my business. But anyway, They told me to get on my knees and pray. So I would do that. And I would pray every single day for that person. And at first, it turns from, God, give that son of a gun what he deserves. And then eventually turns into, over time, God, take care of that person. Please give him the same things that I need. And a lot of times that anger goes away. Example of evidence of this is, if I look at my old journals from years ago, and I might have written about a resentment I had, and I was praying at the same time I was journaling, I look back and I completely forgot that I had that resentment. And that just confirms to me that the God of my understanding is working in my life. Being willing to put in the work. Or sometimes praying for the willingness to be willing. So we'll stop there, guys. I think I've rambled on enough. I hope you all have a great day today. Again, as I always try to say, I am not a speaker on behalf of AA, NA, Al-Anon, or any other sect or organization. I am just a friend in recovery who absolutely loves these 2 books. And I am very grateful that you're here. Hope you all have a great day, and I'm looking forward to seeing you back here tomorrow.